When I went to buy the van that I lived in for over a year, the small shitty van that I lived in for over a fucking year, big waste of time and money. I took a Greyhound bus from Spokane, Washington, where I live, to Bozeman, Montana. It was like a 6 hour drive, 7 hour drive, 7 hour drive. And when I was waiting at the first gas station where they pick you up in Spokane, this older guy stands up right next to me and he lights a rolled cigarette and he offers me one, and I say, "No, thank you, sir. I'm clean." And he's like, all right. I see the fit. You got a nice fit on, man. What's your name?" And when an old black guy tells you you have a good outfit on, it really makes you feel like you have a good outfit on. It feels great. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm Elijah." And he's like, "All right, my name's Wall Street. Everyone calls me Wall Street because I'm all about that money." I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty sick." And he just started rambling about his entire life to me, which people do a lot to me. People just approach me and tell me everything about their entire life. And he starts telling me how he's been on a Greyhound bus trip around the US for like a year. And he's just started like listing every beach he'd been to and rating the women there. He's like, "Don't go to California." Guys, I almost did a black voice. I'm not going to do that. I was trying to just do a deep old guy voice, and it almost sounded offensive. I'm going to do my own voice. He's like, "Don't go to California because the girls there are nasty. But go to Florida. Those hoes are booty-ass naked. It's almost too much to see. They're booty-ass naked." I'm like, "Oh, man, let me write this down." And he just started telling me all about like going to Texas, how the hoes were in Texas, how the hoes were in Florida, how the hoes were in Ohio. I was just like, this is crucial information. Thank you. And he asked me where I'm going, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to Montana." And he's like, "What for?" I'm like, "Just to see a friend." Because I was anxious. I had $10,000 cash in a sock. And I put, because I had $10,000 cash to buy the van, I put it in a long tube sock, tied a knot, and then I tied the loose end of the sock to my belt loop, and then I jammed it in my underwear. Because I was like, if I fall asleep on this bus or anything, I want the money to be safe. And if someone's grabbing on my dick, I'm probably going to wake up. And it wasn't that uncomfortable, but it was a little having $10,000 in a tube sock next to my dick. But that's what you gotta do. So after I chatted with Wall Street for a bit, I get in the bus. Wall Street seems like he makes a move, like, it seems like he scoots so I can sit next to him in the front. I want to sit on the back of the bus. I'm sorry, Wall Street. I sit on the back of the bus. Luckily, it's mostly empty back there. I have my laptop. I watch, I don't know, cartoons for 6 or 7 hours. I don't fall asleep on the bus. I really tried to. I tried to fall asleep. I didn't want to be awake because when I got to Bozeman, Montana, it was like 3 or 4 a.m. And originally my plan was I was meeting the guy at like 7 a.m. So I was like, I'm not even going to get a hotel. I'm going to get there at 3 a.m. and I'm just going to wander around Bozeman, Montana for 4 hours because a hotel's like $80. I don't want to spend $80 on a hotel. And I told my mom that, and because she was the one who dropped me off at the Greyhound bus stop. And she's like, "You're not fucking doing that. Buy a motel." And she said she was going to pay for it, but I felt too bad. So I found the cheapest motel I could. It was like a 20 or 30 minute walk from the Greyhound bus station. So I get there 3 a.m. I walk 30 minutes to the motel where I check in. I get in there. I mean, it was the cheapest one possible. It was there right when I turned on the light, like one of them like went psh, and it just died, like 2 of the lights. One of the lamps was just like, there was still some glass in the carpet because the bulb was broken. It didn't explode, but just like the bulb was broken. And then the bathroom door had like literally a hole in it, as if someone like punched a hole through the bathroom door. And I'm in there with $10,000 cash. And like, I don't know. I didn't really go around Bozeman. It didn't seem like a bad place. I think it's like a college town. I don't know why that motel was so shitty. I guess probably literally just for people who get there off of the Greyhound bus. They have the shittiest motel ever. Because there was a hole, like I could just look into the bathroom. I'm glad I wasn't with someone because there was a hole through the bathroom door because it was punched through. So I get there, I sleep for like 2 hours. Then I wake up and the guy I'm meeting drives to my motel to show me the van. And he just shows me it a little. We had already like video chatted. He showed me the van and everything. And he's like, can you drive me to my work? Because I drove the van here and I have my other car at my work. And I was like, okay. We drive there and we like chat a little. And I felt so bad, so awkward. He said he lived in the van and traveled and was like a ski bum for like 2 years in it. And the whole inside was like covered in stickers from his travels. And he stopped there and he's like, do you mind if I take a picture of my stickers for a minute? And I was like, take all the time you need, man. I felt bad. I felt like I was buying his son from him. And he just like chatted me a bunch. He's like, what are you trying to do? And I was like, be a piece of shit, I guess. I don't want to have a job anymore. And he's like, yeah. He's like, so you going to go on some travels? I'm like, hopefully. He's like, well, friend me on Facebook and send me some pictures of your travels. I was like, will do, man. I didn't do that. I'm sorry, dude. Because I took it on like one good trip and that trip sucked. So I drive the bus home. I drive it like 6 hours home. Sorry, my camera's out of focus. I drive it like 6 hours home and it's a good van. I drove it like 90 miles per hour all the way home. I made good time and then I hung out like all day. I was fucking exhausted. And then I spent that winter, because it was winter when I went there. Sorry, my camera's still out of focus. It was winter when I went there, and so I spent the winter converting it, aka tearing out his conversion because it wasn't to my layout specifications, because I wanted a desk for my computer and stuff, which was, I guess, a good mood because I started streaming. But so I tore his stuff out, and I tried to build my shit, but I was working full time. I watched my little brother, and I had a girlfriend. Big mistake. Not really, but you know, I barely had any time, so I was spending my time working on the van, and I was doing the rushest, cheapest job ever, just like scrap wood, the clearance wood at Lowe's, just the cheapest shit ever. So it fucking sucked in there. It sucked. I did a stupid layout, shitty carpentry work, everything creaked, everything broke, and I lived in there for over a year. My first trip I took it on like 2 small trips just around Washington. I didn't even go to the good parts of Washington. It was just shitty. Like, I remember I drove around, I went to like Moses Lake. One of the worst towns I've ever been in, Moses Lake, Washington. Oh my God. Like, half the population were on Rascal scooters. And when I went into the Walmart, the only things that were locked up were the spray paint and the whiskey. Like, you need to get an employee to get a key. The electronic department was fine, but the spray paint and the whiskey was locked up, which probably tells you about what the people there are doing. And like half the population were on Rascal scooters. There was a Winco, I'm pretty sure. It's a grocery store in the like Pacific Northwest. And I went there and I saw this lady. She was parked right outside the Winco. And I was like sitting there on my phone figuring out what the fuck I'm doing. Because I was like, why did I drive to Moses Lake? I was sitting there on my phone and she was just sitting there with the door open for so long. And there was another lady kind of like it. And they were just waiting. So one fat lady comes out on the Rascal scooter. The second she gets off, it was a waddle race for these two. I feel like I might be being rude right now. But these two very fat, very old ladies had like a waddle race to the Rascal. And the loser just went back and got in her car and waited. And I was like, this entire population is like bored treble youths who want whiskey and spray paint and morbidly obese old women who want Rascal scooters. That was the whole population. It's just kind of like a strip mall town. For some reason, I thought that's where there was like cool sand dunes. But I was a dumbass and I was tired. I tried to find them, and I pretty much just went to, like, a sandy parking lot. That trip was a mistake. I went on a second trip that was just as terrible. Then my third trip, last year, right before I started streaming, my plan was my best friend lives in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was like, I'm going to do a long road trip. I'm going to drive all the way down to Phoenix and drive back so I can visit him. And I make all the stops along the way. Like, I drove mostly through Idaho. And I did see some really cool stuff. I saw, what was it called? It's not a petroglyph. A petroglyph. There was one petroglyph, I think it was in Idaho. Maybe it's right on like the Idaho-Oregon border. I don't remember. But it was weird. I drove like 35 minutes to it, and it was just like windy roads through like bumfuck and stuff. And then just a totally unmarked little pull-off. Like when you're on a rural highway and there's just like kind of like a little gravel like curve pull-off. The map pointed me there. And also, like, if you zoomed in there on the map, it didn't even show a pin. And I only found it because I went on, like, some local government tourist website, and it posted the north and west coordinates that I pasted into Google Maps. I don't know if it's intentionally, like, obfuscated so people don't vandalize it, but it was weird that it was just so unmarked, because it's just like, I'm on a gravel road, I turn off onto this little turnoff, like power lines overhead, and there's not even like a proper entrance. I like walk off into the bushes and stuff. There's a little beach by the river, and then you just find a petroglyph drawn by Native Americans, like, I don't know, 1,000 years ago or whatever the fuck. And it was kind of cool, because like, you could see the road, but they couldn't see you, and it's kind of cool just picturing people, or I don't know, made me think about the history, the interconnectedness of life and what they were thinking in modern society, because it's just like you're staring at this petroglyph. It was so close you could touch it. I didn't touch it because I felt like I wasn't supposed to. There was probably a sign saying not to touch it. And right behind you, right above you, there's power lines and there's a road. And it was both kind of sad that it was, like, right there, and kind of cool that it was just right there, you know? So there was cool stuff like that. I went and saw the Evel Knievel ramp in Snake River, Idaho or something, which that canyon is insanely pretty. Maybe I'll edit this to put up pictures. I don't know. I don't know if I did or not. That canyon is insanely pretty, and that's where I had one of my first viral TikToks. Because I was just posting, like, or it was just a video of the ramp, and I was like, that dude was not making that fucking jump. Are you serious? But I did say the R word in it, which I've tried to stop saying. So currently that TikTok is unlisted. It got, like, over 1 million views. And when I was at the Snake River ramp, I walked up to the top of it, and this old dude rides into the parking lot behind you on a motorcycle, which also... That was another weird tourist destination, because it was like, you turn down what seems like it's marked as like a private road, gravel, like bumpy ass road, and there's just a dirt parking lot and like broken concrete and stuff. There's cows to the left, so it stinks, and like a brand new suburban neighborhood to the right, so it's weird. And there's a little dirt parking lot with like concrete borders around. And that's where the Evel Knievel ramp was. Which I guess if you youngins don't know who Evel Knievel was, he was like the super famous stuntman. I think he was probably a piece of shit, dumbass alcoholic. But he was super famous, and he tried to jump the canyon and failed. Like jump a major canyon on his motorcycle. So I went to the top of it, and it was kind of cool to see. And this old biker dude comes up, and he just starts standing there. And he's like, man, this is something, isn't it? And I was like, oh yeah. And he's like... You know, Evel Knievel, the liberals are trying to cancel him for being an alcoholic. I was like, oh yeah? I was like, he's dead. I don't know if he can be canceled. And he's like, yeah, it's fucked up, but I watched him jump this when I was a kid. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, it was crazy. I can't believe he did it. And I was like, didn't he fail? And he's like, no, he did it. And after he jumped this, he jumped the Grand Canyon. And I was like, you sure? And he's like, yeah, it's insane. And I was like, man, I didn't know that. Because he didn't jump the Grand Canyon. Have you ever seen a picture of the Grand Canyon? I still haven't seen the Grand Canyon in real life. I was gonna see it on that trip, but I failed. I'll tell you why in a bit. But no, he could not jump the Grand Canyon. You would need an airplane to get over the Grand Canyon. It's fucking huge. That's why it's called the Grand Canyon. The nature in that area was really pretty. Like, there's just like a walking trail right by the canyon that there's just like all these angry moms with their angry dogs walking across, and they look angry at me for like looking at the canyon. I'm like, oh, this is such a crazy walk to just walk every day. Like, it was insanely pretty. And I drove to another canyon where I like walked down to the bottom of it. I don't remember what it was called. That was kind of dope too, but like, I remember the dope parts. The driving though, in my van. Do you want to know what it sounds like driving my van? That's what it sounds like driving my van. I like would have my radio turned up max anytime there was like a gravel road or anything, and I could just barely hear it because it's an old fucking van, and the passenger side door, it was like renovated to like accommodate someone in a wheelchair, I think. And they like didn't properly seal the door, so like there was insane wind noise. Like it just sounded like your doors were open whenever I was driving over like 30 miles per hour. And I drove across like 2 states, a few states like that. So the driving was always terrible, and I would be sore because like the seat didn't adjust. The seat couldn't move. It could recline, but that was it. So my leg would be like sticking far out for the gas while I drive for like 6 hours straight. Fucking sucked. And then I had to sleep in that shit in Walmart parking lots. Oh yeah, in one Walmart parking lot I had like cameras set up and a little screen so I could see what was outside of my van. And one of them, a car parked right next to me, and I was like, that's sketchy. Then another car comes up, and I'm just watching on my camera in a Walmart parking lot at like 2 a.m., and they did a drug deal right next to my van. I was like, they must have thought it was like covering the view from the road or something. Where the fuck was I? What was I saying? Just shit talking? Oh yeah, so I do my road trip. I go to I go all over Idaho. I saw most of southern Idaho, not like the little eastern southern Mormon part of Idaho as much. But I went to Boise, and I really liked Boise. It's kind of like a nice balance between like big city amenities, but not like insane big city traffic and stuff, I guess. I don't know. I kind of like going to Boise. If you have to live in Idaho, I guess I wouldn't mind living in Boise. But when I was in Boise, my car started acting weird, and I was getting ready for the next phase of my trip, and then I tried to turn it on, and my van, I keep saying car, my van, like, didn't turn on. And I was like, oh my god, is it my battery? And so I replaced my battery, because you can replace your car battery for free in Walmart. And, oh no, wait, actually, sorry, I was in a northern part of Idaho, maybe it was like Snake River or something. My battery died in my van, and I like took it into a place and had it get tested and stuff, and they were like, yeah, it seems like you just got a bad battery. And I was like, okay, and they give me a free replacement. So I was like, what a relief. It was just a bad battery. Batteries are easy to replace. That's fine. So I drive to Boise. I hang out in Boise for a couple days because I liked it there. And I don't know, I was tired of fucking driving. And then the day I'm going to leave my van, so when I was in Boise, my alternator, after a few days, my alternator in my van died. Which, if you don't know cars, the alternator is what takes like the fuel and the friction and shit from your car, and it charges the vehicle's battery. Like, it just creates electricity and charges the battery. So my alternator went out, so I couldn't fucking drive. So I luckily I was close enough. I like rolled myself to an AutoZone. I got a new alternator. I didn't have any tools, so I posted on the Boise subreddit. I think I posted on there. I was like, does anyone want to help me replace my alternator, or just give me the tools? I can pay you. And I'm just sitting there waiting, and I was like, do I really have to like buy all these tools? And I tried to ask them for tools in there, but they wouldn't give them to me, because I was like, I'm gonna have to like buy the tools, and also I don't know how to do it, and I'm scared, and I just want someone to help me. First guy who DMs me, he's like, so his message was, so you posted something about an alternator. And I was like, huh? And then I clicked on his profile, and all of his posts were on like r/gone wild 30 plus, like r/milf news. And I was like, this guy hopes I'm a damsel in distress, and I'm gonna give him my mature coochie for changing my alternator. So I didn't respond to that guy. And then another guy responds, friendliest dude ever. He comes, and I just wanted like the tools to do it pretty much. I was like, I have the YouTube video. Maybe if you have help, maybe if you have a shop, I could like possibly drive that far, but it's probably not a good idea. So he drives to where I am, and he pretty much just replaces the alternator for me. He was super friendly. He just got off work, and I tried to pay him like $60. I was like, it took you like an hour. Take $60, dude. Like, you saved my life. And he's like, no, I won't do it. And I was like, you gotta take something. He's like, I'll take 20, I guess. I was like, fine, take 20. It was super crazy. He just replaced my alternator for me in the parking lot of the AutoZone. Because on an old van like that, I've learned it's not that hard to replace an alternator. I didn't know at the time. You can just do it reaching in. He replaced the alternator for me. My goat saved my life. Gave him $20. Went on. He gave me a wrench too, which I still use. He's like, you don't have any tools? I was like, not really. I always use my mom's tools. And so he gave me like an extra wrench. He had like a couple little tools like that. And he's like, I didn't want these anyways. That guy was my goat. So then I drive around and I go to Utah. I go to Salt Lake City. The traffic and stuff was scary. The Mormons were scary. I was there on a Saturday. It was scary because they were all going to the temple. I was scared of the Mormons. I chatted with one girl on like Tinder there because I don't know. I was like, maybe I'll get into something. And she was like, me and some friends are going to the hot springs if you want to come. And I was so tired. And I was like, do I really want to go hang out with Mormons in hot springs and take my shirt off and show my fat hairy man tits? I don't think so. So I unmatched with her. And then I drove to Moab, Utah, which is where Arches National Park is, which was so fucking dope. I spent the whole day there seeing the crazy fucking formations of rocks and stuff, just driving there. And then especially when you're at the park, it's mind-blowing. It's some of the coolest shit I think I've ever seen. And the whole time I was just picturing, like, imagine if you've been riding your horse through desert for like a month, like just fucking hills and desert and shit, and then you come across this. Like, I don't know, I was trying to picture that perspective of like the first people to discover it, or like the Native Americans or whatever. It was a super cool experience. I remember one of the first stops I went to in Arches National Park, there was like this Chinese lady just standing in the middle of the path doing like interpretive dancing. That video might still be up on my TikTok. And she was old, and she had her even older mother like crouching in the bushes recording her. And they were like standing on the main path, like everyone had to go around her. And she did it for a long time too. It was, I thought it was pretty cute. Anyways, after I explore Arches National Park, I'm driving back, like it's a good amount of driving, like back to the city. I'm going to Spanish Fork, Utah. And it's nighttime because I spent all day there. It's dark by the time I'm getting back to town. And the lights on my van start dying. And I'm like, no. I like turn off the radio, turn off the AC, trying to preserve electricity. And then there's fucking traffic, like next to a cliff. And when it's like pitch dark, and I'm like, stop. I'm like almost actually crying. I'm like, my car's gonna break down here in the middle of bumfuck fucking Utah. I'm gonna have to get help from a Mormon. And so I start to get closer to town. I'm like, I just got to get to the Walmart parking lot. And it's like dying. And then it finally like fully dies. And I like the power steering isn't really working. And I'm like, ah! And I pull myself off to the side. I have no signal, but I have a little portable jumper like battery pack. So I jump my batteries, and then I drive some more, and I turn off again. And I do that like 4 times because I had no signal. Until finally I get some signal. And after like jumping my car 4 times, like I would drive like 2 blocks and then it would die again. And I'd pull out my jumper pack and attach it and drive another 2 blocks. And then I finally had signal. I called my mom. I was like, I'm fucked. You know how I had some strange man from Reddit replace my alternator? He must have did a shit fucking job because it didn't fucking work. And, and you know what? I forgot. I skipped a part. I replaced my alternator myself. Because before I got into Utah, my alternator died again, but that time it was during the day. I go to like AutoZone and O'Reilly's, I have them test my alternator, and they're like, sometimes you just get a bad alternator. And I was like, are you fucking for real? And they're like, yeah, you must have just had bad luck. We'll give you another alternator. I replaced it myself that time. The dudes at AutoZone were dicks, because I only needed one tool. I needed the breaker bar, and they were such dicks giving it to me. like they were so rude the entire time. I was like, I'll leave you with my whole fucking wallet. I just need to borrow the breaking bar. They have a breaker bar specifically labeled like for customer use. Like it's not like they were breaking policy to give it to me. They were just dicks for some reason. So they keep my ID. I go in the parking lot. It takes me a while, but I replace my alternator in the parking lot in wherever the fuck Idaho, and I go in to like give them their bar back and get my ID back, and the dude looks at my ID where I'm bald, and he's like, the fuck's going on here? He's like, he's like, you're bald? And he was like being a dick to me. I was like, give me my fucking ID back. I'm having a stressful fucking time, and you're making fun of me for being bald. You're like a 40-year-old man. Fuck off. And so that happened before I went to Utah. So then I get to Utah, after I go to the national park and everything, I think I'm safe because I just got a bad alternator. Oh, it's dying again. I'm like, what are the odds that I got 2 bad alternators in a row? I don't think that's happening. It's something else. So after I jump and roll, I call my mom, and then I call AAA. AAA tows me. The dude is kind of goofy. I ride in the tow truck with him. I have a folding bicycle in the van with me, so he drops it off at a repair shop, and I ride my bike to a hotel. I had found the cheapest hotel possible that I was going to stay at, and my mom was like, no, don't go to a shitty cheap hotel. I'll reserve you one. And she's like, she's like, don't go to that hotel. I already reserved you one. And I was like, okay. It was like an hour bike ride away. And I was like, wow, thanks so much, Mom, thanks. I'm really tired and I want to go to bed, but I guess I'll go ride my bike for an hour to the hotel. I get to the hotel. It's called a capsule or a micro-tel. I think it was called a micro-tel. I get there. My mom didn't pay for the hotel. She just reserved it. And it cost like $130 a night. The one I was going to go to cost like $80. So she cost me like an extra $50, and I had to ride my bike for an hour. But I was like, fine, I'm at the hotel. And it was an alright hotel, but the lights in the motel like were motion sensors. So I would be laying in bed and the lights would turn off, and I would get up and like wave my arms, and it took a bit for the lights to turn on, and I couldn't figure out how to make it stop being motion sensor. So every time the lights went out, I just had to like get up and dance. Kept me active, I guess. And then I like waited all day. There's fucking nothing to do on a weekday in Spanish Fork, Utah. I like rode my bike to Walmart and Arby's, and then I was just like sad all day is all I did. And it took them another day to fix my alternator, and I was like, are you sure it'll be done today? And they're like, yeah, it'll be done today. Probably, we're not sure. We won't be able to tell you till 8 p.m. I was like, okay. So I check out of the hotel. I ride my bike all over the place. I ride my bike to In-N-Out. I just am like riding my bike around town. I was just like, I like laid down on the bench, the only bench I could find. It was like maybe a little too close to a playground. There were parents giving me bad looks, but I was like, I was just so exhausted, and I was just laying there. I like sat on that bench for like 2 hours. And I was like, man, I wish I had someone to call. I wish I had friends. I wish I didn't buy this shitty van and go on this shitty fucking road trip. And I just biked around for like all day until eventually they called me, thankfully. And they're like, your van is ready. Come get it. Cost me like $700. And it turns out there's some sort of electrical short that was just breaking the alternators and batteries. Luckily, I did get a refund on the alternators that I bought already. Like, I took it to AutoZone and convinced them to give me a refund. But then I drove back up to Boise. I just stayed the night there, and then I just drove home. I didn't make it to Arizona. I didn't make it to the Grand Canyon. I still haven't gone to Arizona. I still haven't gone to the Grand Canyon. And I didn't go on another trip since. Right after I got back, I started streaming video games on TikTok and then on Twitch. And then I've built a little community. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You're my only reason for living. And I think that's all the shitty van I'll ramble about right now. I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of lore about the van. Living in it sucked. I sweated like crazy in the heat, and then in the fucking winter when I would stream, it would get so cold in the van, it would get like all my water would freeze, and I'd be streaming on TikTok like shivering, like I'd be like Sorry guys, I have to end stream because I can't feel my feet anymore. That's what living in the van was like, and I lived right in front of my mom's house, so instead of having more freedom by not having a job to pay rent, I just ended up watching my little brother for like 12 hours a day, which in some ways is more fun than having a real job, but in other ways is like I'm not interacting with any real adults, and I haven't interacted with like any real adults other than brief friends and people and stuff for the last like year and a half. But I'm really glad to have streaming chat is the only people I talk to. Thanks to anyone who's not a stream viewer who found this YouTube video and somehow sat through the old thing. Follow me on Twitch to watch me ramble and suck at video games. And thank you. Oh yeah, this is Rant of Today. Thanks. Bye.